Good morning. My name is Manny Budke. On my channel, I'll be calling myself Bruce Budke. Bruce was the name of the very first blue heeler dog that I ever had, and I love that pupper. And he was with me for about a good 10 or 11 years. But anyhow, this is a welcome to my new channel. This is going to be the first time I ever doing anything like this. This is going to be the beginning of my podcast channel, and some things in the future that I'm going to be talking about are some stuff into apologetics, evolution. We'll talk about politics. But the goal here is really just to be straight down to earth and have these fun conversations and talk about the taboos that no one else wants to talk about. I want to talk about that kind of stuff with you guys. Once I start getting more followers and more subscribers, I'm gonna start doing Sunday lives where I actually converse with you guys, and I will also be taking recommendations for things that you guys might want to talk about, things that you might want to hear. But for today, let's kick off and let's get right into it. So as I start my channels, as I start talking about different things, you're gonna kind of start to wonder, what is this guy's moral stance here? Because if that's not evident to you, and if I don't make that evident to you right now, you might kind of just say, what is this guy talking about? Where is he coming from? None of this makes sense. So first, you have to understand at the very basis, where am I coming from? What is my moral stance? Or at least where might this guy be getting his moral stances from? So the first thing I want to talk about is objective morality. Okay, a lot of people are going to say that morality is objective, and some people are going to say that morality is subjective. Okay, now here's the thing: I don't believe in objective morality outside of a Judeo-Christian thought. So practically what I'm saying here is, if God doesn't exist, then objective morality doesn't exist to me. Morality would be subjective. So objective morality would mean no matter what, killing human is wrong. Objective morality objective morality would mean no matter what, in any circumstances, stealing is wrong. And you'd have these different rules, these different standards that you would come up with, and we would want to say that these standards and rules are objective. I cannot steal, I cannot lie, I cannot murder, I cannot rape. These are some things that we might describe as objective morals. Typically, Christians and other religions are going to describe those things as objectively moral. Some atheists and secularists will also describe these things as immoral. Of course, you don't have to believe in objective morality to think that something is immoral, but we'll get into that. We'll get into that a little bit more. So, okay, let's say objective morality did exist. If objective morality does exist to me, that means that there's a God that exists. And there's a God that practically proclaims that which is good. And if a God like this proclaims that which is good, then that means that it is objective. We would be in no position to say anything other than what this God has proclaimed is good. We'll do a lot more in-depth talk about that if that's something that you guys are interested in. But if objective morality exists, this God proclaims these objective morals, well, who has the moral obligations? Whoever has the moral obligations would be whoever God demanded had the moral obligations. In the Christian ethic, which is the religion and ethic system that I'm familiar with and prefer, we would say practically that all humans have moral obligations. And I just told you, where these moral obligations would come from. They would come from God. And, well, who believes in these moral obligations? Well, it would be up to each human's perception, each human's circumstance, uh, decision as to whether they believed that these objective morals exist, just like what we have now. All kinds of different societies and cultures who have their different viewpoints of objective morality. Um, so, for the most part, um, when you think about it, I mean, just take a moment here. How many of the people in your life, or how many family members, would you say, believe in an objective morality? You know, how many of your family members disagree with you on a moral issue like abortion, let's say? Um, who's right? Is it the belief in objective morality that makes this rule or standard true, or is it the the proclamation from that God itself that makes this morality the case? And so we would go with that being God proclaims it, that means that it is the case. And that means that whatever you believe, whatever your own rules and standards might be, whatever your own perceptions might be, would really be irrelevant as to what is actually morally objective. So moral objectivity would transcend your emotions, your thoughts, your brain chemistry. It would be true no matter the case. Even if you amassed the majority, you amassed power, and you proclaimed yourself the moral supreme ruler who knew all. It wouldn't matter. You wouldn't have to be able to uh, uh, overpower God in some kind of sense. And we can't even begin to fathom how we might do something like that. There are good reasons to believe in objective morality. People like inspired philosophy, they go over great reasons as to why you should believe in objective morality. It's something that I think that you should look into. But for today, I won't go into to the long details and kind of the notes as to why you should believe in objective morality. Um, I think that's something for the time being that you can think on your own, and then later on, shoot me something. Let's talk further about it. Um, so I don't think objective morality exists simply because I don't know if God exists and I'm agnostic. And that's why I don't know if objective morality exists. Therefore, I err on the side of that objective morality doesn't exist and God doesn't exist. Though I live somewhat as if God does exist, in this sense, you could think of me like Jordan Peterson, I suppose. Now, subjective morality. How does it come about? And all these kind of questions you have about subjective morality. Well, how subjective morality comes about is through perhaps we could say social cohesion. Perhaps we could say laws. We could say certain attitudes, certain cultures, but pretty much the reality is subjective morality would come around by a certain number of people in society who say this is right, this is wrong, we ought do this, we ought not do this. And you would accumulate a certain number of people to the point where you either held political power or you held literal physical power, and you were able to enforce or force your morals onto these other people. And that is how morality would come to be. That would be the only means. If I go out to my five neighbors and I tell them that raping is wrong and they shouldn't do it, I would say to them, that's objective, that you shouldn't rape. And my five other neighbors completely disagree with me. Well, what does it matter what I say? How am I actually going to force them to believe in what I do? You might also say, how are they going to force you? Well, what's the belief if I'm dead? Right? So if it came to a push or shove to where they said, no, 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 this is our lifestyle. This is what we do. We do those things here. You might not, but we do. So you're either going to comply and hand over what we want, uh, to treat as a means to an end, or we're going to make you. So these push to shove situations come up in society, and this is how wars begin, and this is how, or sometimes this is how policies occur. You get into voting, legislation, all that kind of stuff. These are all different ways that we can establish morality. Well, subjective morality and a social standard. Now, different nations have a different sense of morality. And what I'm going to be really starting on here is I'm going to be talking about cultures. I'm going to be talking about inferior, and I'm going to be talking about superior cultures. But that's going to just be a fun little thing that we're going to do. I think it's something that's super important with everything that's happening right now with this war between Israel and Palestine, with this war between Russia and Ukraine. There's some people who already know who they support, who they don't support. But there's other people who are like, well, what's the right thing to do? Or why should I? Why shouldn't I? I think that will be a totally fun thing to talk about and get into. Now, what's going to be difficult is to describe which nations are correct. Each nation has their own set of moralities, their own set of standards. So as we go through, we'll get talking about that, and we'll come up with something good. Now, there are going to be people who say that objective morality does exist, and they base it off of human flourishing. Now, I believe this is something like Sam Smith might come around. He did his, I think it was landscape of morality or something like that. So some atheists and some secularists are going to argue that objective morality does exist. There is ultimate meaning to life. You don't need God to have that. And that is a good conversation to have. Someone better equipped to have the really good in depth who's already done the homework, who's already put in the work, is Inspired Philosophy. Check him out for some really gritty details on that. But let's talk. Let's talk about all that kind of stuff. But this is my intro. It's great meeting you guys. I plan to make a video once a week. Let's see where this goes. Give me some recommendations on what I can do to make this more fun. Of course, as I go along, I'm gonna get better at editing. I'll start doing those funny memes in those videos, make it more entertaining. That's just something that's gonna come along as time goes by. But for now, this is what I got. This is who I am. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.